All right, let's go to the third out. We touched on this briefly already, but some of these tight division races are interesting because I mean we're kind of at a point now where the league is starting to take shape, and as we kind of said earlier, you know we have, I mean even in these like central divisions, right? I mean these are like I don't know what we think of them on a grand scale, but let's touch on the AL Central first, right? You've got three teams within a half game of first place, right? Guardians right now lead with the Twins and the Royals, both a half game out. Tigers 4.5 out. They're not out of it either. And obviously the White Sox are brutally terrible. And you and I are both, I think, pretty pissed at the at the Guardians at the moment for losing 3 out of 4 against the White Sox this past week. They're they're dead to us.
The Guardians are not good. Like I've said it 1,000 times on this podcast, and I'll say it 1,000 more times on the show. The Guardians are not good. They're not, and they're going to finish in third place in this division. Minnesota's going to finish in first. Kansas City is going to finish in second. I would love to see the Royals compete for a wild card. My notes here, basically, Minnesota looks like one of the best teams in baseball right now. I hope they can continue it because it's been a ton of fun. I don't know that they are one of the best teams in baseball, but they look like it right now. And the fact that they're showing an ability to look that way for stretches is exciting. So good for the Twins. I think they win that division. I think they win it comfortably by the time it's all said and done. I think Kansas City finishes ahead of Cleveland. I am still not sold on Cleveland finishing above 500. And I say that as they're 25-16. If you ask me right now who finishes ahead, Cleveland or Houston, I think Houston finishes ahead of Cleveland despite being almost 10 games back of them now.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I I actually think that Houston, if you were to ask me right now who the better team is, I would still say I still think I feel more comfortable in picking Houston in a series than Cleveland. Listen, I'll say this in defense of Cleveland, they've played whatever the last like week and a half without Stephen Kwan, so whatever. But even
oh no,
oh no. Oh man, I just what's so funny to me. The thing that is funny, and I'm not even saying that I disagree with you all that much. It's just like ever since we did the preview show, you have just had this like pure. I don't even want to call it hatred because I don't think it's hatred.
It's a dismissal.
This pure dismissal of the Guardians. Regardless, they could be 30-10, and you'd be like, just get that.
They're just not a serious team to me. They're just not. I mean, outside of Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor, but like, who are their other thumpers in this lineup? Andres Jimenez, Will Brennan, Esteban Florial. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is not a good Major League Baseball team.
You watch it, Esteban Florial, man, the former Yankee great.
Batting 198. I mean, I like Manzardo, but I mean he hasn't done it at the major level yet. But I like Manzardo. I think there's some potential there. But
certainly,
it's a team that the pitching has to be like phenomenal for them to be competitive.
Right. Yeah.
And the pitching is okay. It's outperformed what I think they really are. So look, I'm just not into the Guardians. Not.
Do you think part of that might be coming from a place of like you want the Guardians to be really bad so that the Dodgers could swoop in and steal Class A?
No, because I don't want the Dodgers. I've thought about it. I don't want the Dodgers putting up the prospect capital it would take for a closer. Like in general, I'm against putting up a lot of prospect capital to fill needs in the bullpen. So, if the Dodgers were to go after a piece in Cleveland, I'd want to go after like Jose Ramirez. I'd say shoot for the stars, right?
Yeah, that ain't happening. I don't think they're selling him for anything.
or go for one of the other bullpen pieces that isn't Class A and just get a guy that can eat an inning.
Yeah, James Karinchak, Sam Henches, one of those.
Right. Guys, that's more the way I would look at that. But no, it's just that I just don't like them. I just don't like them.
I don't blame you for feeling that way. I think that first of all, they're an incredibly boring team, right?
Yeah.
I'll just say that right out of the gate. Outside of, like you said, Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor, who's had a really nice year so far, they're really not they're not really an exciting team to watch all that much. Minnesota, despite starting poorly, has been on an absolute tear for the last few weeks. And Kansas City, I mean, this is a team where, like, I'm not sure that I'm completely bought in on the young players that they have that they have up right now as much as you are, maybe. But like, there's no doubt that Bobby Witt Jr. is a stud. There's no doubt that Salvador Perez, for some reason, is still raking at the major league level. He's just crushing baseballs at the moment. And there are some guys that I like obviously Vinny Pasquantino, I think is a nice player, but they just honestly, this is a team that I think has gotten a lot of solid pitching lately. Cole Reagans is a stud. Seth Lugo has looked really good so far this season as well. So they're an interesting team. I agree. I think that they're better than the Guardians. If you were to ask me today, though, who I would have thought preseason was going to be better between the Royals and the Tigers, I thought the Tigers were going to be a better team. I really did. And that's still possible come year end. But I mean, so here we go. Who do you like more, Tigers or Guardians?
I put them in kind of the same category. Mm-hmm. I would rather be a Tigers fan because I think they have a better future. Yeah. I think that the pitching talent they have there is real. The Tigers are to me, they're like the Mariners light, where it's really good pitching up and down the roster. They're just maybe a year away, and they can't hit. It's ultimately the same thing that's going to doom the Mariners is they just can't hit. Kansas City has built a relatively well-rounded roster. I'll say it with the same thing with them. They're a year away, but there's some fun in that team. By the way, we talk about Salvador Perez like he's this fossil. He's the same age as Freddie Freeman, and he's playing a lot of first base right now.
Yeah, right.
There's it's not, he's 34, just turned 34, I think. So, he's not young, but I feel like we talk about him like he's 38,
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it is something, though. I mean, 329, 8 homers, 33 RBIs, got a 942 OPS right now, Salvi Perez. So that's he's stud, man. 34-year-old stud. And he just turned 34 too. So happy birthday to Salvador Perez.